Well, let me ask you, Congresswoman, why are you here today with Senator Fateh?
Well, I'm excited to announce that I will be supporting Senator Fateh for the mayor of the city of Minneapolis.
All right. Senator Fateh, you must be pleased to get that endorsement. I think the Congresswoman won 74% of the vote in her last race, much of which is Minneapolis.
Yeah, absolutely. And our Congresswoman, who I'm really excited to have her support, has been a real fighter, not just for CD5, but the city of Minneapolis. And that kind of bold vision for CD5 and for Minneapolis is what voters really want right now in this moment in a new mayor. And so we're excited to bring that kind of vision here.
Okay. This has been a very unusual situation with the DFL endorsement and then rescinding the DFL endorsement. First of all, what do you think of that? I mean, you're a DFL endorsed candidate.
Yeah, I've carried the DFL endorsement in every the races that I've run for Congress. You know, I really do believe that the delegates should have a say on who they came out to endorse. And that was very clear when Omar got the endorsement. It is unfortunate that few people, mostly who live outside of the city of Minneapolis, did decide to vote to take that endorsement away, which means that they are taking the voice and the votes of the delegates who showed up not only on a Tuesday night, but on a weekend to sit for hours and hours, debate, and make a decision on who they wanted the endorsement to go to. And so as we move forward in the next few weeks that is left in this election, it is going to become clearer and clearer that that choice that they made to make Omar Fateh the endorsed candidate will hold, because Omar will be the next mayor of the city.
Okay. How are you dealing with that decision? Because I know it was back in August to rescind it. You got it in July, so for a month, 6 weeks, 5 weeks, you were the endorsed candidate.
Yes.
I know it's creating situations where you've got flyers out that say DFL endorsed candidate, which you were, but now you're not, and so I think you've gotten fined or disciplined. How do you see this right now?
And I was really grateful for the judge mentioning that there was no malice or negligence in that situation in which the DFL revoked our endorsement, and we continued on with our outreach to voters. But what we saw after the revocation is that thousands of people came up to sign up to volunteer, knocking tens of thousands of doors, phone banking, talking to their neighbors. We saw an uptick in excitement and donations as well. And so that really supercharged our campaign and the energy behind our campaign.
So what did you have? Did you just have a lot of I'm sure you had a lot of DFL, Omar Fateh, DFL endorsed posters printed up. I mean, did you just have those and just people were coming in and just taking them, or how did that work? Because you're getting, accused of unfair campaign practices and saying that you claiming that you're not endorsed, but actually you were endorsed, but then you weren't endorsed. I mean, it's
immediately after the DFL endorsement, we went right to work reaching out to voters because we were DFL endorsed, getting literature, getting people on the doors, and that took a lot of work and a lot of effort to make happen. And so the Minneapolis DFL has been supportive of that and engaging in that as well. We did not file a challenge for it. The Minneapolis DFL filed a challenge on behalf of the campaign because they knew what was going on with the committee in which Ilhan just referenced right now. But that still did not deter us. We're still knocking tens of thousands of doors. Okay. We're talking to voters, and we're hearing that folks are ready for a new mayor.
What about the fighting?
And I would say what has been clear is that Minneapolis voters appreciate a fair, competitive race. Yes. When they see something unjust like that happen, where you do get the endorsement from the delegates that have signed up, and then a committee of you take it away, that injustice, I think, kind of really energizes people to come out and support folks.
Is there a backlash?
We have not seen backlash on the doors. In fact, as Ilhan mentioned...
No, just a backlash about the decision to take away the endorsement from you.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 110%. I think people are really furious. Even when I go out to forums, I go out to meet and greets. I even go to the grocery store. People stop me and they tell me that we're really hurt and upset by what happened with the DFL taking back the endorsement. And so people are watching and people are very aware of what's happening. The mayor and his allies might have had the power within the committee to take away the endorsement, but they don't have the people. And I think that's very evident right now.
Okay, and you're clearly thinking there's going to be a backlash.
Yeah, I mean, nobody likes to be enfranchised.
Yeah.
And, you know, as I said, we always have hundreds and thousands of people who sign up to be delegates, who take the time to get involved in the party politics to try to make sure that we have a candidates that we can endorse and support. And so when you have, you know, the sitting mayor work with a small group of people to take away that endorsement, that in itself, I think, is something that is very upsetting for people. And yes, it does create a galvanizing opportunity where people do come out and say, you know, we're not going to play these kind of dirty politics. We are going to move forward and have a united front as Minneapolis residents, and we are going to back the candidates that are bringing about new ideas, that are willing to work with people, that really care about the fact that we've spent so many hours in trying to make a decision about who we want to endorse.
Going back to the signs that say Omar Fateh, DFL endorsed, are those still going out because you're being cited for campaign violations, you're getting fined? I mean, what do you have to say about those things going out? Is it?
No, we're not still, those are not going out. In fact, when we first got notice of what was going on, we worked really hard, spent many hours taping up the DFL endorsed portion of the lit pieces, but now the new lit pieces do not have that any longer. But to Ilhan's point, I want to mention one thing also, and it's really important for folks to also understand that prior to the convention, there's a rules committee that's set. The rules committee comprises of different campaigns and also delegates to set the rules for the convention. And so that included the mayor's team and his volunteers in that committee that set the rules for the convention. That was used and that was followed.
Okay. There is a war also going on here in this election over the city council, and just, you know, are we, I got a flyer saying DSA, are we tilting towards DSA or DFL? What do you both have to say about it? Because you both are seen as sort of icons or leaders of the progressive wing of the DFL party, which increasingly is disenchanted with the main part of the DFL party. What do you have to say about that and this whole effort that it's being pushed that way as a larger effort?
Yeah. Well, right now, what we're hearing from residents is that Minneapolis seems to be a tale of two cities. One for the wealthy and the well-connected, and the rest of everyone else, the transit riders, the students, seniors, our young people, our immigrants, the renters, and one side gets promises and the connections, and another side just gets broken promises and vetoes. And so what they really mean when they call us extreme is that we're too connected to the folks that have historically been marginalized. And so what we want to see is a city in which deals with our unhoused population in a humane and compassionate way. We can end poverty wages in the city of Minneapolis. We've got to protect our renters. We have a hostile federal government. We've got to protect our most vulnerable communities. And that's what we've been hearing on the doors as well.
Right. So you do see a divide then in the city?
Yeah, I mean, the divide really is about the haves and the have-nots, the paid attention to and the forgotten. We seem to think that it is important for there to be a grassroots effort to listen to the residents of Minneapolis, to carry out their wishes, and not to always capitulate to the campaign donors and the highest bidders. And so when folks, I think, criticize us, it's not the progressive values that we have that they are criticizing. What they're criticizing is the fact that we're not paying attention to the well-moneyed machine, but we are paying attention to the people on the street.
Okay, I want to ask you, Senator Fateh, there have been a number of things that have come up in your career. You've done a number of things. You've got some big bills through the legislature where you've been accused of ethics violations. Most of those things, there was a finding in 2002 or 2022 or 23. The serious stuff was taken off the table. There's a new allegation that you sponsored a bill, that your wife was the head of one of the companies, and that money would have benefited the program that she was a part of. What do you say to that allegation, first of all?
Well, a few things. Number one, it was not a financial bill. Number two, my wife formed exploratory business in 2021, about 3 years before that bill was drafted. And the program or the entity never had a client, never billed for services, never even functioned. And so this legislation was around program integrity, because we heard from people loud and clear that number one, our in-house populations weren't getting the services they need. But number two, there were concerns about overbilling and also billing for folks that, for example, passed away. And so we wanted to take away the oversight from DHS, who proved to be incapable of doing that, and provide the county with their case managers and their ability to provide the oversight for this program. And it had bipartisan support as well.
Okay, so it didn't pass eventually. I mean, the whole program was shut down.
Yeah, the whole program
was shut down. But you're saying that the bill that you proposed was not a finance bill.
It was not a finance bill. It was not to benefit my wife or anyone. It was a program integrity bill. And on top of that, my wife's entity never functioned once.
Because there is the perception amongst your critics that there's an awful lot of smoke. You know, nothing's really definitively stuck at all, but that there's a lot of smoke in terms of ethics allegations or people saying, well, you know, does he or doesn't he know this? Yeah. What do you say to that, to people who are wondering about you and if there's going to be some kind of ethics situation or problem when you're mayor?
I think those are things that came up from Republicans. Those were ethics complaints that were filed by Republicans that were also unanimously cleared while they were in power. It's just unfortunate that we're having DFL folks try to grab that and use that as leverage for their own campaigns and try the smear campaign when there's really nothing there. And we're seeing that that to maintain their own power, they're trying to have these scary ads and these scary lip pieces and things like that. But what we're seeing on the doors is that it's not working. And that's because as a senator and as a candidate, I've always tried to be community-centered, and people know who I am, and they see that there's no facts to anything that they're saying.
I think the thing that has been very fascinating, I think, watching Omar's rise and the fact that people have tried to throw things at him, is that when you see somebody who's a rising star, who's being extremely successful in passing legislation through the legislature, but they're not only passing it in a partisan way, they're passing it in a bipartisan way that is speaking to the heart of the challenges that so many people in our communities are having, then you get the folks who are like, okay, this person is going too far, too fast, let's slow them down. And I am so glad that, you know, Omar has taken it with stride, has smiled through all of the challenges, but has never lost his commitment in delivering for his constituents and for our state.
Okay. Those things that we're talking about is criticism. There's also out there something that's way beyond criticism, that are the kinds of attacks, or the your property was defaced, your campaign headquarters. I know both of you have faced some very serious security threats. What about that part of this? I mean, how do you feel about the things that are going on right now? Because I've asked the Congresswoman this many times, and she's pretty stoic. Yeah. How do you feel about it?
And that's some of the hurtful things around why having members of our own party latch on to some of the rhetoric and the allegations from the Republicans, is that words matter, and sometimes people take those words into action. We've seen it with the defacing of my campaign office. We've seen it with the burning of Al Hassan Mosque. A couple weeks ago, we saw Temple Israel get defaced just last week. And so we're seeing a lot of hateful rhetoric in our political climate right now, that we are showing that there's a better vision forward. And that's not what Minneapolis is about. We're a welcoming city. We welcome everyone, and we care for everyone, even despite our differences. Differences are okay, but what's not okay is political violence or any violence towards anyone.
Okay, and because it's out there, it's got to be difficult, though. I mean, you both have families, you're both regular people, you're trying to live your lives. I mean, it's got to be hard.
It is challenging, but you know what remains true, I think, for myself and for the senator, is that, you know, ultimately our dedication is to the constituents that we serve. These are people who put their hopes and dreams in in our advocacy and our work on their behalf. And so, we know that racism, xenophobia, Islamophobia, whatever exists is to bog us down and to deter us from the work that we're doing. But we are resolute because we know that the city that has raised us, that has welcomed us, that has been so loving to us, expects us to work really hard on their behalf.
Okay. You know Jacob Frey very well. You worked with him, and you obviously know Senator Fateh. What specifically is it about either Jacob Frey that you are not endorsing him, or Senator Fateh that you are endorsing him?
Well, I believe that our city continues to have challenges. We have challenges in affordability. We have challenges in a leadership that does less vetoing and more collaborative work. We have challenges in trying to make sure that there is collaborative effort with the legislature, with the executive here, and obviously with those of us who are members of Congress. I do believe that the senator has had a track record of working with everyone, and as we go forward, regardless of who is the makeup of the city council, I have trust in the senator's track record that he will find a way to make sure that we have ordinances, legislation that is passing through that speaks to the desires and the needs of the residents of the city to move us forward.
Well, I know that you single-handedly engineered the Uber Lyft compromise, but you also were behind the college, free college for people whose family incomes are below 80,000. And actually, Minnesota colleges have seen an uptick in enrollment when colleges around the country are not, are actually seeing a downtick. What other bills can you point to and say, look, this is what I've been able to do in a bipartisan fashion?
Well, when we're dealing with issue in housing and unhoused neighbors and addiction, I think addiction is a key piece to that. And in the minority, I was able to pass the legalization of fentanyl testing strips because our goal, number one goal, was to keep people alive. And actually, a resident came to our office whose sibling passed away from an overdose. And so that was a hurtful story that we carried on with us. I worked with Senator Julie Rosen, who was the chair, I believe, of the Finance Committee at that time, a Republican. Yeah, absolutely. And we got to work and speaking to our colleagues on the DFL side and the Republican side, talking about if you're pro-life, this is one way to keep people alive, right? Making sure that people get the help that they need. So fentanyl testing strips, thankfully we legalized it. And in the first year, I believe the Star Tribune had a report that showed in Hennepin County, 1 million testing strips were given out, saving countless lives. And so those are the kind of things, the kind of vision we have for Minneapolis, a bold vision in which we can work as a united front, despite even our differences, to get things done for our people.
Okay, so that was something that you and Senator Rosen
Tag team.
Tag team, okay. I want to ask you about your stands on police, because I know this is really loaded, and I know that both of you have supported the referendum that would have dismantled the police department leadership. Do you support defunding the police?
Actually, no. I want to make sure that our public safety system is fully funded, and also dealing with issues in a way which, by the way, law enforcement came to the Capitol talking to us about, and they said loud and clear that they cannot respond to every single call. They need help. And so we need to make sure that we're beefing up the alternatives like BCR, like mental health responders, so that law enforcement are able to address violent crime, but also in instances in which they're getting pulled away from other work like drug trafficking and human trafficking. All that happens because they're being stretched out thin for every single call.
Right.
And so we want to make sure that we have a public safety system that works for everyone. When they call 911, they get the right response at the right time.
I mean, and that's the thing that we were pushing for, was the public safety department that had a holistic way of addressing public safety in our city. I know that the mayor has adopted that and incorporated that.
Well, I was going to say it's very
yes,
much,
but I
and
would
he's very
say
proud of that.
without the conviction and a real understanding of what that call was for, which I think the senator understands, you're not going to get that comprehensive look at the whole system, which is why I believe having the senator lead our city will get that program working with the vision that we originally had, where resources are going where they need, and people can get their 911 calls, but when they're having other emergencies that doesn't require police presence, they can also get that addressed.
Well, there is that unit now that
Yes,
does
but it
just
is-
that. I mean,
it is
do you
having
feel
its challenges.
that you guys are in your position is responsible for that unit existing?
I can answer one part to that. Number one, last biennium we worked with our Senate and House colleagues to bring in $300 million in public safety aid, which brought $19 million here to the city of Minneapolis. And that aid was meant to be used for public safety, for our alternatives, like BCR mentioned, like mental health responders. Unfortunately, for a long time, that money went largely untouched because there was a difference between what City Council wanted to use it for, its intended purpose, and the mayor. And it seemed like the mayor wanted to use it for, I believe, larger salaries for law enforcement or upper level law enforcement. And so we got to make sure that if we want to ensure that we have a public safety system that works for everyone, that those dollars are making sure that those alternatives are well funded. And that's the vision that we have.
Well, they did.
There was also, I think to that part, there was also a long struggle to extend and renew the contract on the folks who did the behavioral unit. And I think it's really important for these programs to have the continuity that they need and to have a champion, because when you are exploring a new program to address the public safety needs of the city of Minneapolis, it is good to have somebody who leads with a vision, but you also need it to be cooperative. And I think that's where, our county folks come in, where, working with city council members comes in, and having your administration understand what that vision is also makes it easy for us to have the adaptability that we need in order to keep everyone safe in the city.
So what do you say to people who say, Omar Fateh, he's against the police?
No, in fact, the police will be a very important part of our larger public safety system. But what we're saying is that they don't need to respond to every single call, just as they've said themselves. We want to make sure that we're addressing the case backlog that's been a real problem, that we can address drug trafficking and human trafficking, and that they can focus on violent crime, and that in other response and other calls, we have these alternatives that are available and well funded.
And the department does seem to be, moving forward. They've gotten a whole bunch of nice young recruits. What do you think about the police chief? Would you reappoint the current police chief?
Well, I've said in the past that I think it would be irresponsible for me to make that decision right now in the campaign trail. I think that if I'm blessed to win, that I would connect with the city council one by one, speak to them about their vision, of their opinion of the police chief. But I'll also have a one-on-one with the police chief himself. I think that really needs to happen before I make any decision.
And have you ever had that?
Not yet, not on the campaign trail.
Okay. Well, that's. Let me just ask you. Let's just say you win, and this effort to change the council goes the other way, so it becomes much more moderate. Would you be able to work with a more moderate council if that were to happen? I mean, the division within the council and then the division between the mayor and the council is jamming everything up.
Yeah, and that's extremely important, because what I've been hearing from constituents is that what's equally important to good policy are good relationships. And that's why I'm honored to be endorsed by a whole host of state legislators, from progressives to even blue dogs that were the moderate members of the caucus, to show that even despite our differences, we get along and we have to work together. And I think that's really important. And despite the makeup of what happens, I have the experience of passing not only transformational pieces of legislation, but doing so in a bipartisan way. A tuition-free college, it was bipartisan. Uber and Lyft, it was bipartisan. The legalization of fentanyl testing strips, bipartisan. A whole host of housing and human services bills that I got across the finish line, bipartisan. And so if I'm able to do that with the moderates and even right-wing Republicans, I'm sure I can do that with 13 Democrats.
Well, Uber and Lyft, it was you. I mean,
I couldn't have done it without our city council or our caucus allies as well.
I mean, you had them all waiting for you.
Well, I couldn't have done it without the leadership of our Senate Majority Leader, and also the House Leader, and also our DFL colleagues and the City Council. We had City Council members showing up many times, and also staying sometimes in the middle of the night, hashing out the deal. So
Okay.
it was a united front on that bill.
Who are some of the Blue Dogs that are supporting you?
I'm honored to have folks like Senator John Hoffman, who's a really good friend of mine, and Senator Eric Putnam as well.
Okay. Is there anything else? You've endorsed people before. The last time you didn't endorse Jacob Frey, he still went on to win. Do you think times are different now? Do you think your endorsement will mean more this time around?
Well, I'm a resident of this city.
Yeah.
And I love this city, and I have the honor of representing it. I've also worked for the city. And so I believe that my contribution to this campaign is going to be for me to talk about what the strengths are of the senator and how he can move our city along. And we do that with conversations with folks who are going to go out and cast their ballot.
Okay. How about the ranked choice dynamic? Because this is a different kind of thing here. Are you asking for second place votes too?
Absolutely. Myself, Jazz Hampton, and Dwayne Davis, we formalized a united slate for this election, ranking us 1, 2, 3. Obviously myself first, but we're working together to get second and third choice votes amongst our supporters, having meet and greets, having backyard meetings and things like that. And it's been working. I think folks are really united behind a vision for our city in which we're dealing with all of our issues with humanity and compassion, and I think that's what we all bring.
And that's one of the things that's so unusual about ranked choice. It's, the three of you getting together saying, hey, Jazz Hampton saying, hey, I want to be first on your ballot, but put,
Yes.
Omar Fateh second. I mean, do you think that that's going to have an impact?
Absolutely, and it brings a different kind of politics to our city. I think that our current mayor brought a level of toxicity that's really unhealthy and divides all of our neighbors. And we want to make sure that despite running against each other, we can have great working relationships and talk to neighbors together. Because it's about the city, it's about the people, it's not about the individual, it's about the collective. And so that's what we're bringing.
Is there anything I haven't asked you, or either of you, that you would like to talk about, or that you'd like people to know? I mean, a lot of people don't know you. They know the Congresswoman now, but they don't know, the people in your district know you, obviously, but they don't know you. And sometimes that's intimidating to have somebody that you don't really know.
Well, I've been knocking a whole lot of doors with my volunteers, and there's very few doors in which they don't know who I am. I think folks are really paying attention to what's happening in this election, paying attention to the mayor's race and the down ballot races as well. But I'm also really excited to have Ilhan on board with this campaign because she knows the city very well. She worked in the city. There's very few people that are as deeply connected to Minneapolis as Ilhan, and she's been fighting for us for a very long time.
Right.
And so I'm honored to have her on board with this campaign as well.
Okay. All right, well, that was great. Anything else you want to say or whatever? I mean, she's very popular too.
Yes.
No, I mean, I would end by saying, as we look at not just polling, but enthusiasm, and we measure enthusiasm by the number of people who are showing up to volunteer, to door knock, to phone bank, the endorsements that are rolling out, the amount of dollars that are flowing in. We've just seen momentum grow and grow and grow for the senator. And so I think there is a great enthusiasm that's about leaving the past in the past and carving a new future for ourselves.
So you're really seeing a grassroots growth for him and in his support and excitement that's there. I mean, that's what it takes.
Yeah, even we're seeing it in early votes. It's a historic high, and it is that way because I think people believe, we've been led by the city, by the same person for nearly a decade, and it's time for a new face, a new talent, a new vision, and new leadership.
Okay, all right. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of the energy and excitement that our Congresswoman has been talking about for our campaign, whether it's in Powderhorn or Linden Hills or Cedar Riverside, North Side. I think there's a lot of energy and momentum towards a new vision and the slate of candidates, and so we're excited for that.
Do you think you're bringing new people to the polls?
Absolutely, we're bringing people to the polls just as we've brought folks to caucus for the first time. We just visited also U of M campus a week ago, and students were really enthusiastic and excited to come out and vote for the campaign. Wanted to come volunteer and phone bank and door knock, and so we're bringing a lot of young people to this campaign as well.